Documents today. This first one is a bit longer. The second one's more of a recap, and the main focus is 14 and 15-year-olds, hourly restrictions, and then any rules that anyone under 18 cannot do. So let's jump in. This is the Federal Department of Labor's restrictions on rules for minors. So basically, the main idea is safety. They don't want to jeopardize the health of any minor under the age of 18. So we want to make sure that everything at work is safe. This is saying that there may be other stricter state laws, and we would follow whichever law is stricter, whether federal or state. So we do follow a lot of North Carolina laws. They are in our flashcards if you want to review those. This is just saying this applies to businesses, so we can kind of skip through this part. This right here is saying what the federal laws do not have limitations on, but North Carolina has rules on these, so we don't need to go through those either. This is telling who may be exempt from the rules of this. So if we ever run into that situation, we would look into it on a case-by-case basis, but for now, we are not exempt for any reason. And this is talking about minimum wage, which North Carolina's minimum wage is $7.25. So that is the stricter of the two. And then this is just generally saying 14 years old is typically the youngest age that anyone can be employed anywhere. Anything under 14 is not allowed on a federal and a state level. And then this is saying generally the age of 16 years old, you can hire someone. There are hazardous occupations for 16 and 17-year-olds. So we will look through that list today. And then 18 is really the age where all the restrictions are lifted. So let's start talking about just 14 and 15-year-olds. I'm just going to go through each of these. You guys know a lot of these already, but so this is when they may not be employed. It says during school hours. So we go by the Wake County school hour system. This is for public and homeschooled kids. So if there's 14 or 15-year-old that is homeschooled, they cannot work during the school day. So if school gets out at 2:30, they can, start working after 2:30. They cannot work before 7 or after 7. So we say from 7 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. so that nighttime leaders, you guys don't get in a tough spot. We definitely don't want anyone on the clock anywhere close to 7 p.m. if they're under 16. So that's why we say, hey, by 6:45, go ahead and have them clock out. Maybe do a time check at like 6:30 if you're leading shift at night. And then the only time that 7 p.m. is extended is during the summer. So during the summer, the rule is 9 p.m. For our stores. We do 8:45 for the same reason. And this does not apply during like holiday breaks. So winter break, Thanksgiving break, spring break, it's still 7 p.m. 9 p.m. is only during the summer. So they can't work more than 3 hours during a school day. That's Monday through Friday. They can't work more than 8 hours on a non-school day. So any day that school is not scheduled at all. That's Saturdays, that's planned holidays. This is not a day when school is canceled due to weather. So if school is canceled due to weather, they can only work 3 hours that day outside of school hours. So they can't work more than 18 hours a week. So if they work 3 hours a day, Monday through Friday, then they only have 3 hours left to work on Saturday to hit 18, because that would be 15 Monday through Friday. Let's see, and no more than 40 hours on a non-school week. So if there is one day of school in a week, that counts as a school week. And then this is defining terms, which I already talked about most of these. These are exemptions. If we ever have a situation like that, we will look at it case-by-case basis, but as of right now, we don't have any exemptions to that. This is a list of jobs that 14 and 15-year-olds cannot do. So, manufacturing, mining, these don't typically apply to us. We do fillet chicken, so We wouldn't have the 14, 15-year-olds doing that in the kitchen. We would really not really have them in the kitchen at all. Um, let's see. What else is on here? If I'm not mentioning it, it doesn't apply to us. Okay, so they can't do any maintenance or repair on machines. Okay, and then any power-driven machinery. So, like, they can't use lawnmowers. They can use vacuums and waxers inside, but um, they can't do anything with a large power-driven machine. They can't drive or be a helper, so they can't take any deliveries. They can't ride in the car. So they can wash windows if they're not on a windowsill. So if they're standing on the ground, that's totally fine. They can't work on ladders. So really anything where they're off the ground, they can't do. And then all baking and most cooking activities. So super limited. We would have them up front, working on front counter, taking orders, communicating, really focusing more on that for their role and not really kitchen work. They cannot work in freezers for an extended period of time, but they can go in to grab, like they can't go in the walk-in for a long time, but they can grab lemonade. We don't have any pedaling, so we don't have to worry about that. We wouldn't have them loading or unloading anything. And then we don't catch any poultry. And then we don't have any of these, so we can keep going. So these are jobs that 14 and 15-year-olds can do. If it's not mentioned here, it's prohibited. So let's see. It says cooking with an electric or gas grill. Our grills have an automatic lift lever, so that would be the only really like kitchen item that they could use, but we would never put them in the kitchen because there's just so much around, like the fryers and other things that we don't want them using, and we don't want there to be any misunderstanding there. They can be cashiers. They can, let's see, it says tagging, assembling, ordering, packaging, bagging, carrying out customer orders. So all of that is what we would consider front counter job descriptions. Let's see. So that's, yes, they can use vacuum cleaners and floor waxers, but they can't do any kind of like yard work. So really limited kitchen work. They are allowed to use the dishwasher. It says toasters, milkshake blenders, so coffee grinders or coffee machines. So those are okay. Let's see. They can use any microwave ovens that don't have the capacity to warm above 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And then they can clean kitchen equipment, but the liquids, so like the oils, can't exceed a temperature of 100 degrees Fahrenheit. They can clean vegetables and fruits. And then it says they can load some things, but we just wouldn't have them do that. And then we don't have lifeguards, and we don't process wood. We don't work with cars and trucks. We wouldn't have them ride in a car. That's not part of our job description. And then we don't have a career exploration program, and we don't have work studies. So we don't have to go into detail for those. And then this list, we're going to shift now to the hazardous occupations. So these are jobs that no one under 18 can do. So if you see it says 16 and 17, but just know anyone under 18, these are prohibited. So the big idea is not to cause any detriment to the health and well-being of our minors. Let's see. I'm going to highlight the ones that apply to us. So driving a car, being a helper in a car, all of our delivery drivers have to be the age of 18. So we wouldn't have anyone driving anyways. Let's see. None of these. So this says operating power-driven meat slicers. So if we have manual slicers like the nugget slicer, that one is totally fine, but nothing like on a large scale that's power-driven. And then this says power-driven bakery machines. So these are like floor level mixers. Our mixers are okay as long as they have all of the safety gear, and that the miners know how to take apart and put it back together. This would also include like the chicken shredder that goes on our mixers. In the mornings, we really don't have our 16 and 17-year-olds using the mixer, so it would really just be the chicken shredder piece that we'd have to be careful about. And then they can't use, anyone under 18 cannot use any cardboard compactor. And then let's see, these do not apply. So this is going into each one in detail. So I'm going to skip to, so it says motor vehicle occupations. So this is like if your job is to drive a car. For us, that'd only be a delivery, and you have to be 18. So we don't have to go through these restrictions. And then let's see. No. Okay, so these rules about like poultry packing, processing, and rendering are more for a meat processing like facility. Since we've just fillet chicken, we don't use any power operated filleters. Like our manual fillet rollers or filleting by hand are okay. And then it says like, yeah, boning operations on the killing floor. This is not something that we would do. Um, it's really more of like prohibiting any work with dead animals. Okay, let's go to the next one. And then, so this is getting into bakery machines. So the only one we really have is the mixer that I already mentioned. And this is going over a lot of like specific machines. So we can kind of keep going. Okay, so compactors. So like I mentioned, they cannot use the compactors. So we have the stop stickers in all the machines that have a hazard or that are a hazardous occupation. So anywhere you see those red stop stickers are relating to all of these prohibited jobs. Okay, so we don't do that. And you guys are more than welcome to like go through this in detail and read all of these. But I'm skipping the ones that we don't have in the workplace. Wood products. So like I mentioned earlier, we don't have apprentices or student learners. We also don't have work study programs. What we do have is age certificates. So think of like a birth certificate, an ID, anything that has proof of your date of birth on it. We keep these for everyone under the age of 19. We really have these on file for almost every single employee, but along with this, anyone under 18 is going to have a work permit, so they're going to have to get approval by the Department of Labor of North Carolina before they work with us. And then this last part is just going over the enforcement of the federal child labor provisions. So really any restriction that is broken, then there can be what's called a civil money penalty. So we can be fined anytime we go against any of these restrictions. This is just saying you can ask for like an appeal if something like that happens. And then there are criminal sanctions. So if it looks like you're not in good faith and you're having youths working over 3 hours on school days over and over again, they're working after 7 during the school year. They're working in the kitchen on machines they shouldn't be working on. That over time, a repeated offense can turn into criminal charges. So it is extremely serious. All of the civil money penalties are thousands of dollars a piece. So if if we break one, that could be a few $1,000s, and it's one. It's not per person. It's every single infraction. So if you're in charge of the shift, especially at night or on a Saturday, it's the end of the week, you just need to be really on top of your times. You need to make sure you know who is 15. They're going to have a colored star sticker on their name tag. All of our 16 and 17-year-olds will have a gold star either on their name tag or on their chef coat. So this is just saying there's some more resources on there. But that is the majority of the information we're going over today. This fact sheet is the second part, and it's more of a recap. So this first part is really going over why these restrictions are in place. Any non-agricultural occupation applies to anything that's not a farm. So we are included in that. This is talking about injuries and deaths that occur every year. So it is really important that safety is our number one priority. That is one of our policies of Lauderdale Hospitality Group, but it's also really the big idea of the federal government here. This is, again, a list of what the federal government is not doing, but North Carolina has lots of rules on this. So if you want to review the 16 and 17-year-old rules or these restrictions, go to the flashcards that I sent you guys. You are expected to know everything on the flashcards. This only includes the federal rules. So we went over this, but anyone, once they hit 18, all of the employment provisions are lifted. And then 16 and 17, they definitely still have limitations, but for federal rules, it's mostly the occupations that are hazardous that they're not allowed to do, like the compactor and driving a car. And then anyone 14 and 15 may work outside of school hours for limited periods of time and under specific conditions. So we have them on front counter, communicating, taking orders, doing things that can be helpful to their well-being and not detrimental. Anyone under 14 is not allowed to be hired, so we would never hire anyone 13 or younger. And then we're just going to review, these are the hazardous occupations that we went over. So anyone under 18 cannot do these. Let's see. They cannot drive a car or be a helper in a car. I'm going to skip the ones that, like we don't have woodworking. Okay, meat processing machines, slaughtering and meat packing plants. So any kind of manual slicer is fine, but they should not be cleaning any like meat slicing power-driven machines. And then let's see, the power-driven bakery machines. Like I said, for the mixer, they would be prohibited from using a floor standing mixer, but since our mixer can stand on the shelf, they're allowed to use that, and the chicken shredder, but they're not allowed to use a cardboard compactor. Let's see, and none of these apply. So this is going to go back over the 14 and 15-year-old rules. So this is saying they can work outside of school hours. So we go by Wake County public school hours, no more than 3 hours a day, Monday through Friday. No more than 8 hours on a non-school day. So planned holidays, Saturdays, no more than 18 hours during the week. And no more than 40 hours. So they can never work overtime. They can work between 7 and 7. For us, it's 6:45. During the summer, they can work until 8:45. And then these are what they cannot do. So they can't do anything from the hazardous orders list. They can't work in any mining. They can't work in any power-driven machinery. Obviously, they can use like the printer in the office. They can't perform any baking operations, so they would never use the mixer. We don't have any pedaling or any of this. They can't work from ladders. So if you ask them to get something from dry storage and it's too high, they're going to have to ask someone else to do it. So just keep that in mind. And then the last one doesn't apply. Okay, so this is what they can do. If it's not on this list, they can't do it. So it says food service establishments, which is us. They can bag, they can stock, they can cashier. So again, stocking, but not on a ladder. And then limited kitchen work, preparation of food and beverages. So think of like bagging, making drinks, desserts. That's what we would have them doing. They can use the electric grill, because it has a automatic lever, but we wouldn't have them do that. And then they can't clean any cooking equipment where the grease or oil, the liquid doesn't go above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's see, we don't have lifeguards. And this is talking about more about lifeguards. Wood products, no. We don't have a career exploration program, so like an apprenticeship, and we don't have work study programs. And this is going back over just the enforcement of the laws. So civil money penalty is what CMP stands for, and that is the fines that you could get for breaking any of these violations, violating any of the restrictions. It all depends on how severe they are, like how severe the violation is, the size of your business. It says the gravity of the violation. So if you're not working in good faith, if you're not checking your hours, you're letting people work way outside of their restrictions, then the fines can be doubled, especially if it's determined willful or repeated. So just be super aware of how your actions may look. If you're not paying attention and you're not scheduling or you're not sending people home, then it can seem willful or repeated. So you just want to be on top of who's working and the schedule and what time it is. Let's see. And then this is going over, like, if there's an injury, if there's a death, there can be fines for that, and there also can be criminal charges. So that is the general overview of these two documents. Review your flashcards. Go to these documents if you have questions, or come directly to me or Rachel, and we will talk. And if we need to, we'll reach out to the Department of Labor to make sure we're giving you the right answers. I don't want you guys talking among yourselves and like trying to explain the rules to each other, because it can get really confusing. So just be really careful with how you're interpreting these things, because we don't want to be interpreting them wrongly and then be fined for that. So thank you for watching.